and no one will take your joy from you. Jesus tells them this. He says to them, your sorrow is going to turn to joy because I'm coming, because I am birthing something. And then Jesus uses an illustration. And you know, as a teacher, we often try to think of illustrations because what I recognize is long after this message is over, you won't remember what my point 1 was, my point 2, or my point 3. I lay those points out because they help us to think linearly, and it also helps me as a teacher not to chase rabbits because there's a lot of thoughts going on in my head. But what you will remember, hopefully, is the illustration, the truth, and the illustration of it. And so here's what Jesus says. He says that the sorrow they were about to feel is the same sorrow or grief or pain that a mom feels as it comes time for that baby to be delivered. Now, I've been by my wife's side. I have never experienced those pains. And you know, I praise God. I don't know if I could have survived those pains. I almost passed out just being next to her. But I've seen her go through the discomfort of not being able to sleep when she's progressed in pregnancy because there is no position that's comfortable for her. I've seen her spend 8 weeks sitting in a rocking chair trying to get a little bit of sleep. I've seen her go through contraction pains. How many ladies know what Jesus is talking about here, right? And how many men in here are so glad? I will say this, that women are 38% tougher than men. I believe that to be true. I believe that to be calculatable and true. But the fact of the matter is that when my wife and I talk about our biological children, and we love all of our children, but when we talk in this particular illustration about that labor pain she went through, it's interesting to me that she doesn't talk about the pain. That when she talks about our biological children and their birth, if you were to ask her, hey, tell me about Judah's birth, or tell me about Sophia's birth, or tell me about Christiana's birth, she won't tell you about the pains. She will tell you about the joy that she had holding them. The joy she had knowing that this baby is in the world now. The joy of being a mama, right? That's the joy that overwhelms the story. And what Jesus wants us to know is that the resurrection overwhelms the story, that his return overwhelms our sorrow, that our trust and our faith in him will produce within us an abundant joy. And here's how much we should love the resurrection. We should be so happy about the resurrection that we have an abundant joy that cannot be taken away. No matter what the inflation rate is, no matter what the news reports are, no matter what's happening globally, how many thank God that he is alive, and because he lives, we live? How many thank God for the resurrection? You ask me, do I have hope? The answer is yes. Why do I have hope? It's because my hope and my faith is not in the economy. My hope and my faith, listen, I want it to go well. But it's not ultimately in the economy. It's not ultimately in the way that people behave. I want people to behave. Don't get me wrong. I want these things to go well. But ultimately, I know the end of the story. I know that he is faithful. I know that he's coming back again. I know that all things are working out according to his redemptive plan. I know heaven is not nervous, that God is not anxious, that Jesus is not pacing the floor. I know that he is sovereign. I know that he rules, and over every square inch of created order, Christ declares mine. He is King of kings, Lord of lords, and because of the resurrection, I am happy.